Davis,
Here.
Burdick,
Jim is excused.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
meeting notices were posted on Friday, October 13th at the post office, the library, the city hall, and the website.
You, council acceptance of agenda.
Motion approved.
Second. Motion second, approve the agenda, any discussion? No, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Personal appearances, anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on the end, it's not on the agenda? We'll move on to the minutes from October 2nd.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Minutes from October 2nd, any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Under reports, finance.
The finance met prior to this meeting tonight. I'll make a motion to approve bills and payroll in the amount of $308,646.15.
Second, pay the bills, any questions on the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Candy Davis,
Yes.
Preble,
Yes.
Langen,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes. Motion passed.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary Class B license for Tri-County Community Center for their event, Women's Expo 2023 on November 18th. A second.
Motion the second to approve temporary Class B license, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Preble,
Yes.
Langen,
Yes.
Candy Davis,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve the 5-year capital improvement plan.
I'll second.
Motion second, approve 5-year capital improvement plan, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Preble,
Yes.
Langen,
Yes.
Candy Davis,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Motion passes.
And that's everything for finance.
Thank you, how about library board?
Library board met on Tuesday. A couple things, they approved payment for the design invoice for the new meeting rooms. And then the movement of the stacks, the bringing in of furniture, all of that is happening on October 31st and November 1st. So it's moving forward, although we don't have an actual start date yet of when the meeting rooms will start. But working towards that. And Beth wasn't able to join us today. She had an employee that she needed to cover for, so she's working at the library.
Thank you, utility commission, anything to come forward there?
Utility met last Monday and nothing really forward. Discussion.
Thank you. Parks.
Yeah, Perks met on October 10th. And we went through items for the budget, which we'll be talking about when we go through the budget. Howard had announced that trees have been planted or will be planted. They have been planted.
Yes.
At Racetrack Park, there were 5 of them.
Yep.
And 5 of them have been planted at Central Park. So that's 10 more trees to add.
So I owe for one then?
So what, just
I owe for one
April
of the
kind of
trees?
Did we plant the memorial trees also?
Yes.
Yes.
So yes.
Okay. I was kind of hoping, yeah.
And that's it for Parks.
All right, thank you. 38, and earlier tonight. Bring that up there.
I'll make a motion that we extend the facade grant deadline to January 17th, 2024 for the facade grants awarded to 16 Swift Street and 10 and 10.5 School Street.
I'll say.
Second to extend grant deadlines, we discussion.
We
Yeah.
just, I'll add, maybe an answer, we discussed, for those that were there. One of the property owners was here. The reasons why none of that work had occurred yet, at both sites, 10 and a half, kind of the same building, but not really. There were things like HVAC, roofing, top pointing, that had not been started yet, and, those funds for the facade grants live on books in that TIF grant, so we just decided to give them 3 more months. And it's likely, if we don't have everything done at that point, then the committee will either get another extension, or the discussion largely focused around not continuing with any more discussion or with any more extensions, but that's where we left it. It's just kind of neat and clean, give them 3 more months.
So, I was at the meeting, so I could hear, so thank you for that explanation, but is it my understanding that the one for the West Fulton, the 10 and 10 and a half, that extension has been granted before, once or twice?
They both,
Both meaning, both Swift
16
and
and-
Swift.
and the whole, yeah.
We gave a number of extensions 6 months ago, so March or April. We gave a 6-month extension to October 17th,
Okay,
and these are really the last of the last. That
yeah,
what stood out is they hadn't
Yeah,
done any of the work yet.
yeah, I guess I'm just putting my 2 cents worth in for the next time the RDA meets in October or whatever, or once that grant comes up, or the timeline comes up, the extension. It sounded to me like it was extended a couple times. All the other people that
Right.
requested grants got their work done. So this goes back to 2020 today, 2022, 2022.
And we gave them a year, because we,
Yeah,
going to the end of the TIF, we wanted to speed things up. So
Right.
it was unique for the RDA to put a timeline on it, which was a year.
okay,
In the past, I mean, earlier in the TIF, it potentially could have drawn out for years, because the
okay, well, that's
RDA
good to
didn't-
know too.
didn't put
Okay.
timelines on it. So the RDA, to speed things up, gave it a year. And there were a number of projects 6 months ago that hadn't crossed the finish line. So we didn't really look at case by case, we gave them
Sure.
all another 6 months, and now these the last 2.
Okay, and I think that's great, they had the extensions, it's just, sometimes when it gets close to the timeline, that's when people start hurrying to get their contractors. And if we're going back to 2022, we're talking
Yeah.
close to 2 years, not quite, but once January 17th comes around, we're a few months short of 2 years. So, I would just encourage the RDA that if January 17th rolls around and the work isn't done, I would suggest not granting, but that's just another extension,
Mhm.
so. Do what you want with that information.
A lot of people there probably agree with
Okay.
that sentiment, so.
You have the opportunity to deny it right now.
Well, I'm not opposed to going another 3 months, because, I mean, if they know that's it, but I'm just saying, I would, if this comes back up again in January, yeah,
When it comes
Yeah.
back up in January.
right?
When it comes back up in
When it
January.
comes
You're gonna
back.
win, not an if.
It will be, because
Yeah.
the rule or the request was to get the roof done, and then
I get it, but
the
I'm
other ones are still.
gonna be surprised if the roof gets done by then, so, I'm just saying.
Okay.
And you could get the roof done and still have had some movement on the HVAC, even though it's not done, if there's movement showing.
Yeah.
To me, that makes a big difference if you show some movement, but
A lot of roofs have been replaced.
when I hear that,
Downtown.
I met with the roofer yesterday.
Yeah.
That, you know. It's like a plan, but, okay.
All right, anyone else? Roll call.
Langen,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Candy Davis,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, the next item is consider the 2024 budget.
So the goal this evening, if it's possible, is to get to the levy limit, if that's what you are going to, if that is your goal, but if we have that by the end of this evening, then that would allow us to replace the legal notice, which has to be in before your next meeting. So if we can't get that done, then we would have to have another meeting between now and October 30, so we can get that.
Oh, that means we gotta get it done.
So I think I handed out this evening a new summary page of what has happened since the budget went to you in your packet, and today is the fire district finalized their numbers, so now the shortfall or the amount you have to remove from your budget somewhere in order to meet the levy limit is $6,529. So in your packet is an updated staff report with a few new things in there. Tip number 8, information review. There's an update on the borrowing information. While that may not be necessarily the borrowing relevant to this discussion, there is some additional information for you in there. The fire district number that's in your packet is now obsolete. It's at the top of the second page with 214,000 and then replaced now with 219,000. So that's a little bit changed based on Thursday's adoption of the budget by the fire district. Otherwise, I think the rest of the information you have seen before. So there's an updated capital schedule, this spreadsheet that we have that shows the list of capital projects. That information has been updated from the parks meeting. Some things were removed by parks or reduced in hopes that there would be some cost sharing on some items. And I know Candy, as the parks chair, has their prioritized list of items. So if it comes to that, she has that information to share with you regarding what they thought was most important in the budget. So I guess I will stop there and answer questions. One thing that I didn't know, but is for any of you who have done this before, we budget by our ordinance of contingency. So it's a percentage of the overall budget. So right now in this budget is just short of $20,000 in contingency. So that is funding that is in the levy that is not allocated to anything. And in the past, I'm not suggesting you do this, but just so you know, in the past, when there's been a few dollars that you need to make the whole thing work, many times that's where that contingency is reduced by a certain amount.
So you're saying one of our options would be take that from 20,000 down to 13,500.
So I don't know if there's anything that anyone wants to remove from the budget, not just because you need to, but because you feel that you shouldn't do it, but that's probably where we'll.
So before we start talking about removing, and I know this is going the opposite direction, but if we look at our sheet of paper with this, or we have to look at money, so we can, balance the 6529. I'd like to talk about the Act 12 shared revenue money. We've got that kind of dispense throughout here, correct? So where we're thinking,
Mostly in roads,
mostly in roads.
150,000 of it's in roads.
Right, so at the beginning, when we were talking about that, one of the options was, should some of that money go towards fire district? So I think, from sitting on the fire district board, I think that we should think about a portion of that money going to the fire district. I don't know, I'm not saying it should be used for one thing or another, but I'm thinking that maybe we need to take that and set it aside in case something does come up that we may need to or donate or help fund for the fire district.
Okay.
I have no clue.
And you're, and that's.
I'm just saying that we've got this shared revenue, and three of the things that, one of the three things it could be used for was for fire and EMS. One was for police, one was for roads, DPW.
Yeah.
So I do not want, I just think it's my responsibility by sitting on the board to remind people that, to remind this council, that that was one of the options we could use the shared revenue towards, or for. So by sitting on that board, I just find that I need to suggest that there could be a use, just like we use it for roads, there's a use for the roads, there could be a use for police, whatever, DPW. There is never a shortfall of a use to use for fire, or fire
Now,
district.
having said that, when we saw the numbers last time, our fire district budget has far exceeded growth year over year than anything else that we put money towards. The amount, the share going to the fire district is, over the last several years, has been our fastest growing budget item. So,
I would not disagree with you.
so
That doesn't-
now we're saying that we should take some of that money that, where we know roads is one of our biggest needs, and potentially earmark that even more for our fire district.
Well, I would say, why is it the fastest growing, fire district, there's more employees. There's a whole bunch of different reasons.
Absolutely, right.
Gas has gone up every time they have to go out on a fire call. Equipment, it's like a snowplow, in fact, it's a bit more expensive than a snowplow when you have repairs, when you have equipment. I'm just saying that, yeah, it has gone up, there's no doubt. I just feel compelled to put that out there, that if we get the shared revenue, and I'm not saying year over year, I'm looking at this year, and I'm not looking at, something we need to set in stone to do every year, I'm just saying, I feel compelled to put their hat in the ring for some funds too, so.
Along that train of thought, the construction of a new facility in Newville, does that come due for the city in 2024?
No, that's a very good question. We're looking at 2025 for that, so that was one of the things I was looking at, do we need to think about budget dollars or something for any of those possible expenses? Yeah, that's all 2025.
And the local site, that's beyond that yet, right? That's the last piece, revamping.
It's all one project,
Uh-huh.
it would be done last, but the bucket of money, it would be one bucket of money. And then it would be split out as to this much for the Newville, possible new Newville station, this much for the upgrade of this station.
Okay.
Yeah, but it would be one bucket of money,
Mhm.
but it would be dispersed differently. So like Edgerton's site would be responsible, which I'll call substation because that's what they're calling it, would be paid for by the 5 current municipality and towns.
Yep.
The Newville, possible Newville station would be all 10.
Yep.
So it's not like, 1/5 here and 1/3 or whatever, 1/10. It's just, it depends what station is and, yeah.
And that's just the construction of the building.
It's just the construction of the building, it's not the staffing, it's not the, well, there would be no new equipment from what I understand. The equipment is being divided between the stations, it would only be, I think, staffing. But you're talking station, you're talking flooring, you're talking, offices, you're talking utensils for the kitchen, you're talking, yeah, it's a big thing.
And you're not asking for Act 12 dollars to be set aside like a rainy day fund or for future construction costs. You're talking about things that will happen in budget year 2020 that the fire district will need to pay for.
I don't think we would have enough money for the Act 12 shared revenue for that. I'm saying, I don't know. I look at last year, or was it the beginning of this year? Last year, with the salary increase, yeah. We did not budget anything to give additional funds to the fire district because we didn't expect it, there was no ask for it, there was no nothing. And then 3/4 of the way through, there was an ask for an increase for salary for retention purposes, and we knew we needed to do that. And the city did pay that, but we did not have that budgeted. So I don't want us to get caught with, if something were to come up, you know, where would we find the money?
And we're taking 150 out of the Act $10 for roads. What's the change? How much was the Act 10 payment?
The net is, just for clarification, it's 12 in case someone's taking notes. Yeah,
What did I say? 10?
that was another big one.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I say 10?
No.
It is 12.
Yeah.
Stay
It's
on
a big difference.
The net was 185, is that right? Candy, I ran the
Yes.
numbers for you. So what happened was our
185, 120.
our amount of new money is just shy of 200,000, but our shared revenue, I think this happened to a lot of municipalities, was reduced. So the net budget last year to budget this year for what they say for shared revenue is 185,000 new dollars.
Okay.
And 50,000 is in, 150,000 of that is in roads right now.
So there's 35,000. That's,
Covering the other things in your budget
that
increases.
is all spent. Okay, all right.
Correct, it's in there,
That's in
right.
there.
And that's what you're,
No, I would be proposing 15,000.
So you take out of the 150, you split 15 of that, put it into the.
Set it aside.
So you're not giving it to
Oh,
the,
wait a
just
minute.
no,
Wait a minute,
So then we can just increase the contingency money. Contingency fund.
and that's what the contingency is for,
Correct.
unexpected expenses.
We would be increasing the contingency by 15, but I don't want, I mean, where would we be spending? I wanna make sure that we could quote earmark that, if you would. In case there's a need for a for something for the fire district, or in case we decide we would like to make a donation, or, you know.
let me clarify here. We just said that 185, 150 roads, 35 sprinkle through the rest of the budget. And then I think I said, is that, and then somehow it got, I think Tim said, so you wanna take out of the 150, I thought Candy is saying, take out of the 35.
I know,
Am I wrong to see these as two separate,
Well,
like not touching roads, but touching for lack of a better term, the sprinkles in here?
yeah, it
And
ultimately,
making that 20, I'm sorry, Ron.
it's okay, go
And
ahead.
making that more like 20, it goes in the rest of it, is that, I mean, I'm not stating anything, is that, I'm just asking, so the roads stays at 150.
That would have to be part of your motion, if there is a motion to.
I just wanna know if that's what you were saying, because it sounded like that's what you were saying, but then Tim kind of said the opposite, so I wasn't sure.
so I see it as one big bucket of money, right, where are you gonna spend it? I would be,
Well-
no, I would be looking at. We have a deficit of 6,500 now that we need to cut out of our budget. If we added 15,000 to that, we would need to cut 21,005, right?
Right.
So, you know, but we would take that 15. Set it aside and be cutting out the rest of the budget. I mean, we'd have to cut out over $21,000.
So before you make a motion, I wanna go find some dollars, and then that might help ease that.
Yeah, and I didn't know if I wanted to do the egg or the chicken first, because if we start cutting and we think we only have to cut 65 versus if we would need to cut 21.
So you're basically proposing that we start looking at this as
Yeah.
21 and not 6.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it.
I don't know how my voice sounds when I say those things, I'm not opposed to them, I might sound like I am, but I'm not. I just
No,
wanted to make sure that's clarification.
that's a very good way to put it, yeah.
One of the things we discuss at parks is developer fees.
Yeah.
So my first question, I think we can do some shifting here with use of those, but the first question is, with everything here in the capital projects, is developer fees paying for any of this?
No.
You're not touching it, so the developer fees is about $66,000. So my next question would be, what items on here of park items are either fully or partially development fee eligible? I had this all written down in my parks notes and I don't know. So, but this will be good for everyone to run through, because there are items here we can pay for with developer fees. I asked the rest of the committee, you know, does it give you heartburn if we start using developer fees for items when we get to this $11 when we're shifting things around? The sentiment from the non-council members was they didn't want to see us spend all of it, but if these are funds for park items, so that's one source of revenue we have to pay for some of these things, and those numbers start coming towards the 6,500 or 21,000.
And some of it has to be spent fairly soon, or are we in bad shape on the?
The improvements were okay now, because we spent some this year, we have to keep an eye on how long we have those funds, so, so to answer your question, I think Casey, your question was which of these items are eligible?
Yeah.
The playground equipment is eligible.
The
Racetrack park playground
racetrack
equipment,
park, is there a line through, it looks like an line on the glasses are just filling me, is there a line through the 10,000 pool playground?
there is,
Yes.
so that was my motion, that
Yes.
motion, I believe, is to take it out, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was removed by.
We decided to take that out.
And put it in 2025.
Yeah, put it in 2025, that was for the pool, not the Central Park. I mean, not the racetrack park, but the
Right.
pool. But getting to that, on that line that you're talking about, Casey, or not that line, but was we talked about the playground equipment, you guys, and, I'm looking at here. The racetrack park playground equipment for 65,000. Couple thoughts with that. That is something we could use, where am I going with this one?
We just for a year and split it over 2
Well,
years.
yeah, that was one of them, but we could say, but I still thought that capital improvements.
Yeah, developer fees or.
Or capital, no, capital or surplus. If we took the 65,000, that's to replace it, but we were told that we were good till the end of 2025 if we had to wait. Meaning the people that looked at the playground department said, you could live with this till the end of 2025, if you will. So one thing we could do is maybe take budget half of that money, so 32.5. Put it towards playground equipment, and then next year's budget another 32.5, and then we've got the 65,000 to get new playground equipment for next year, or for the year after 2025. So we could cut 32.5 out of this budget by doing half this year, half next year. And
And then we wouldn't even be touching those.
then what?
Correct.
Then what?
Then we wouldn't be touching those developer fees.
And I feel compelled to at least remind the Parks Committee that the $65,000 structure is a smaller structure than what we have currently. So that 65 is kind of like the entry level. So, know that if you do split it in a couple of years, next year's number
Might be
when you look
higher.
at the details, you might decide, if we're gonna make it look kind of like it was, we might have to.
Put in more money, plus it could cost more.
Say,
Yeah. So, but this gives us a little bit of seed money towards it. Where we kind of split it in two. The other thing with that, Paul, is you're talking about saving some money there. If we look at some of the other park stuff. One of the things, if you notice the upgrade on the toilets. Toilet upgrades at Racetrack Park, there's $3,000. I have to say, from a parks perspective, that was their number one priority. That the majority of the Parks Committee, because I asked them once we went through the budget stuff, prioritize these, and that was their number one priority. I personally, I'm just talking a council person now, not a parks person. I'm not so sure to spend $3,000 to upgrade the toilets at Racetrack Park for a one event a year thing at the park. I think that's a lot of money. Now, originally, it's a $6,000 amount. Tobacco Days said that they would pay for half of it. So, you know, that really, this could be 6,000, Tobacco Days will pay for half. But what this is it's upgrading the toilet, so it's that flush, that,
Power flush.
thank you, power flush. So it will handle a larger amount of people for Tobacco Days. Now, Tobacco Days said they will still need to get some porta potties, and that's the part, when I heard that, I was surprised, because I thought, oh, this is gonna take care of all their expenses of their porta potties and all of that. No, they're still gonna have to have porta potties.
So, I might be, those that doesn't know, the toilet upgrades are for on top of the hill.
Yes.
Okay. Once a year, no, I would disagree with that. I would say we got two anyway, 4th of July and Tobacco Day. And then people rent out the pavilion and they use the toilet, right?
Yeah, but you don't get 3,000 people for those events.
Did we have trouble 4th of July with restrooms? No. Yeah, okay, so.
It's the number of people that are constantly flushing the toilets.
Okay,
It's not that, oh, they really don't work very well, it's the number of people. So don't get me wrong, I think it's a wonderful thing to do. And yeah, should we do it? Yeah, but is this a year to do it? Should we spend $3,000 to do it? When it's really only an issue once a year and they're still gonna need porta potties. But I'm just putting that out to you. The Parks Committee, that was their number one priority though, so I'm carrying that message.
They liked that Tobacco Days was doing a match. This only happens when there's a huge crowd out there.
okay.
It happened in the 90s. And then there weren't many people going to Tobacco Days, and it wasn't an issue, but when you've got 3,000-4,000 people there at a concert, those 10 toilets can't.
You know, it's coming back strong.
So now they have the funds to start getting back to things in the park. And this was, so that was the match there. And yes, they will still have porta potties. I just, as a customer service thing, I mean, 5 toilets can't handle, right?
No, and then you have to walk up the hill to get there, there's no space.
There's 5,000 people, up 2,500 women can't really, you know.
You guys should have 5 more trees.
There you go. There's 5 more trees up there, right?
That's why Howard planted more trees, just so you
Pretty
know.
small trees.
Well, that's why Howard planted more.
Okay.
So, I like that Tobacco Days is back on its feet and wants to make infrastructure improvements out there. Yes, they'll have to continue to do porta potties, but that's still a good thing, customer service wise. And with some of the construction changes out there, with the pavilion building gone, I don't know if we've caused them additional costs, if they think they're gonna need a tent, or if they're gonna serve beer out of the top of the hill like we used to, I don't know, but I thought it was good. They came to the table with a donation. So that's where the committee was on that. Can we go back to the items that are developer fee, fully or partially eligible?
Part of the skate park.
And when we say part, what is, like half, a quarter?
We used, in the past, we've used a rule of thumb of a third. If it's something where we have a deficiency already in the city, you're building the first one, then you can't use developer fees to cover what the current residents should already be paying for. So we use about a third as the rule of thumb.
It's 8,000 if you're figuring it out.
Thank you.
Was fun though?
Yeah, that's a rule.
Because
Sorry, I
we've
didn't
done
do the
that,
rule.
we did that last time, the last one was from developer fees.
Correct, and I think that's it, Casey.
So basically what you've got saying, 66,000, what's an appropriate amount that we can use and not cause heartburn?
Well, I also asked the question that, what are we hanging on to these dollars for? Is this a rainy day fund? Are we twirling it because we know someday we're gonna buy more parkland and we're gonna, and but I was told, the reality is, if a new park somewhere comes to be, that's just gonna be expensive. So how far is this 66,000 in developers gonna go anyway at that point? We've used it sparingly. We did a $5,000 umbrella at one point at the end, and that made the budget come together. These needs don't go away. I mean, there's part of me that's like, let's use, half of it. Because these things don't go away year to year, and we do have more, because of more housing being,
I was gonna ask how much-
building permits coming in, that will replenish that fund some.
So I agree with the half, but could we eligibly, if that's a word, use half of that? So like in the netting, would that be?
The netting to me is a replacement, I mean, you could argue with something new, but we've had netting out there before, I'd say, why risk it when you have places where it's really defendable to spend that money on development fees on?
If you could use 20% of it and do the third of the skate park and the umbrella, and there's 20%. So
It's
even that,
I
and that
mean-
still gives them 80% where if they're concerned and heartburn and all that.
Right, I wasn't told that hold on to it for X.
Right.
So at some point, the other question should be asked, why do they hang on to this?
Right.
Entities shouldn't do that.
Correct.
And I mean, this will really, I'm not trying to like butter you up here, but like, how many umbrellas will we need there? I mean, at some point, it's like, why not just get it all done? If we need 4 more, what's stopping us from just?
Hey, quit it, hands salivating it right now.
So I just want to put that out there, but I mean, we set the budget, parks did that. So those movies are a little,
I
they
agree.
don't know our final number. I mean, we ask them to prioritize and they do, but
We
call is still ours. So there, I wasn't told, like, do not touch the developer fees.
Okay, so you're saying, because that's what I remember you saying from over the playground equipment. Money could go towards that, yeah. We'll see that's the other thing, if we, if we save a decent amount of the 66,000, that'll help for next year when we're budgeting for the playground equipment. Okay.
Well, if you're gonna cut the playground equipment in half, then you're more than $10,000 to the good.
Right.
Even with your 15,000 for the fire district.
Mm-hmm.
That and 10,000,
10,000 to the good.
Right.
even after the fire.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
We're looking for 21.5.
We're getting 32.
I'm gonna just take the 21.5 off that 65 and leave that dollar, whatever that total dollar would be there for park playground equipment for next year to add into the following year, because the prices are gonna go up. We don't wanna get the cheapest ones or the smallest ones.
So you're proposing to reduce the playground equipment by the amount needed to balance the
Yeah.
budget with the $15,000 that
Yeah, take it down to
Alderperson Davis is
40.
asking to add back in.
33.5 or thereabouts.
Take what
Take
now?
it down to 43,000. The
Take what?
playground equipment,
Oh,
43,000 in for next year.
Yeah, so clearly, and then your intention is to not do that project in 2024, to carry those funds into 2025. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're not touching any of the developers fees either, which the skate park isn't done next year, you can use that to make sure you get the rest of that cost covered. Kind of like a contingency fund.
Correct, because what he's alluding to there is the skate park at 24,000, that's not its total price. That's a big assumption of volunteers to do, that's not the full price tag. I'm still for using some developer fees though.
It's not like you want to.
And I'm struggling with we give it to the fire district, but we don't give it to the police. If we're going to have and put some contingency money, I can't get my head wrapped around why it's only fire.
Well,
Well, it's not only fire.
okay.
We're putting it towards roads, we're putting it towards this, our budget. It's sprinkled in here.
He
So
needs
it's
your,
not-
no, he needs your proposal.
Your proposal, fire.
Oh,
Your proposal of an additional 15 to fire.
so you're saying do another whatever, the police?
No, I've actually not for the fire one, but yeah.
Oh,
I agree.
I see what you're saying, okay. Wow.
Note, I'll just note that there, I think you've already alluded to the fact that there will be a lot of opportunities, it sounds like, at least for West Main, to use a whole bunch of the shared revenue funds to pay for stuff coming up for fire, just not in 2024. So if you do something that, I mean, that's entirely your choice, but know that if you don't do anything in 2024 and 2025, 2026, if those projects actually happen, I mean, the debt service payments and the implication to taxpayers are going to be significant. So, that will be, certainly you'll have your opportunity to allocate to fire.
I should remember this though, the 150 from Act 12 for roads, is that built into the schedule for capital improvement, i.e. road projects in 25, 26, 27, or no, are we, do the numbers just reflect the one-time 150 additional roads in this budget?
The 10-year capital plan assumed $150,000 every year, and even some of the current budget of ours, because of the amount of maintenance work he's done, can now shift to road repair. So yeah, we built that into that 10-year plan every single year. That may not come to happen, because there may be other things that we need to do, but roads were the priority, so you asked for that what would that look like? So that's what we showed you.
But it also doesn't take into the grants and things.
Yeah, right, but let's hope for the best, yes. So there was, I think, one, we assumed a part of the grant for one, but we're putting 4 other grants in, so. Get one. Great.
Candy, do you have an inkling of, for me, part of it is the vagueness of what will this, because I mean, we're down to the point where we're, it's budget time, and we're saying a fund run, chairs, I mean, we're very specific in the budget. You have to know, right, what this is for?
I have no clue because I don't know what the right number is. I have no clue. I just know that with the shared revenue, it can be used for these items, and all of the municipalities will be doing the same thing. We will. If Edgerton's the only one that doesn't, what's that gonna make us look like? I know it might be, who cares? I'm just saying, sitting on that board, I find that it's my responsibility to bring this up to the council, for you guys to fully understand.
And if you would have said to me that this $15,000 is gonna go towards this,
Well,
I'd
here's
be
the
okay
thing,
with
Tim.
but you're
Well,
saying it's just gonna be contingent.
Well, here's the thing, Tim. The maintenance of effort to use that shared revenue is still, we're not quite sure of everything. So I want to make sure that whatever that money could be used for, we're doing it the right way, so it doesn't then deduct us for next year if we don't do it the right way. Does that make sense? So we could, I mean, I guess that's just the best way to say it. I mean, Ramona, what do you think? Am I explaining that correctly or not, or am I saying something not correct?
No, yeah, I mean, I think certainly that what we don't have information on, Kenny brings up the maintenance of effort, so anything that is, there will be restrictions on, based on the, current law with levy limits and fire districts. So CPI +2 is that one measurement that we use, that we have to try to comply with, which not next year because they can't. But then going forward, any kind of payments that are, a little bit of backstory for those who don't know, the town of Fulton has sent a letter around to all of the jurisdictions saying, we're voluntarily gonna give 8% of our new shared revenue money to the fire district. And that
This year.
it isn't.
It's not ongoing.
It's not in the budget though, it's not budgeted as, here's what we're spending it on. So, and Evan, the chair, suggested that everybody do that. So I think the question that Tim brings up is a question of, do you have a need, it's in the budget, what are you gonna spend it on? If it's just money that goes to the district, that seems, we just have to make sure that, is that part of what will be the maintenance of effort going forward? Those are all things that until that information comes out, we have to be cautious, I would say, because we still don't have enough information. Because what we wanna make sure is that we can meet the maintenance of effort criteria so that we don't, because if we don't, then they're gonna take it out of our shared revenue. So all of these donations or levies or charges are all things that I think we have to have a really good understanding of when we get more information, so that we're strategically smart about making sure going forward, we put ourselves in the best, and ourselves, I mean collectively, not just the city, but collectively, we wanna be smart about it, and we don't have that information.
So since that's not real clear, I can't say what it would be used for, because I don't want us to be hurt the next year. I also don't want us to be hurt if something comes up where maybe the fire district needs something, and where are we gonna find funds?
We have 20,000 in contingency. Our budget contains 20,000 in contingency. So I'm not saying that's your answer, but recognize that that is exactly what that's for.
That's great, but as we're budgeting here in the past or throughout the year, we've also said, oh, we've got 20,000 in contingency, if something's come up, but snowplow breaks down, we gotta buy one. We have contingency, we can use that. It's kind of like that earmark, we have to be careful that, okay, we have this money, how many times have we spoken for it? But you have a very good memory, Ramona, you can remind us. But those of us that don't, how many times over would we spend that contingency or something? Trying to think of the well pumper, what happened, something happened and we needed to come up with money. Well, we had it in the contingency, and that's great.
Contingency is the answer to a lot of questions, more questions than should be the answer to. We always think about contingency,
Yeah,
but all those.
you can spend that down,
I mean,
yeah.
it sounds good at any one time, well, if that happens, well, we have contingency. Again, snowball, well, if that happens, we have contingency. And something else, if that happens, we have, you mentioned something, Tim, about the police and are we just basically focusing on the fire department because it's more of a boiling pot and more things that might not be the right metaphor, but there's more things that are unknown and could come up than say with the police. I mean, are you anticipating a need for an extra $15,000 next year?
I've been doing this for 44 years and never know what comes up.
Right.
I try to work with Ramona as closely as we can. I could put in for 4 new radars and 4 new radios, because the radios and radars we have in the cars now are over 20 years old. Half of them, the volume is either on or off. But you know what? I'm not gonna burden the town. We could do a contingency for the police department, but I won't. I'll do 2 this year and I'll do 2 next year. Radars pay for themselves, pretty much, if you think about it. But the radio is communication, Squad cars, if we don't swap out the squad cars every 4 years, we're not gonna get any money for them because of wear and tear on them. I'm looking at working with Ramona, we're looking at solar power for the police station, trying to save money on energy. We looked at hybrids. Look at your budget. Look how much money we're saving on fuel with the hybrids. We're not wasting money at the police department, that's for sure. Would we like a new police station? Heck yeah, we'd like a new police station. But you know what? We're not asking for it. The officers, their squad cars. What's that?
Two of them?
Yeah. No, but you know what? The officers are, we're doing okay. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that. But I try to live within the budget and try to be fiscally sound because there's only so many people. And we, as a police department, owe it to them not to be, wasting their money. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Out of curiosity, if we haven't purchased the umbrella yet and something happens, can we go into the developer fees at that point?
Anytime.
And then therefore have $5,000 that would be eligible for other things that we do.
Yeah, and anytime you make something like that. Once you're there.
And we used contingency funds in the last few years.
Have we had to use them?
Yeah.
No, we've had surplus every year for the last many years. We've never actually used contingency, literally. We have said in mid-year, when we know we have an expenditure, we can't account for it any other way, we said, if we have to, we're gonna use
But we
contingency.
never actually have.
No, because we have surplus every year.
Right. So where did this?
Well, it would be nice to build up that contingency then, for the future, with whatever we might have to do, if there's new. I mean, but seriously, I assure you guys, I do not want us to be so strapped in the future that we don't know where the hell the money's gonna come from. That, I'm afraid of that, right? So, or that we're gonna have to tax our people because of whether it's the new buildings, whatever, if it's in the fire truck or whatever. I'm just trying to inch along so that it's not a big hit all at once, whatever that hit might be. Not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just putting the what ifs out there, and what do we do as a city? So we're not. Yeah, it's not, you know what I mean? And if I were you guys, I'd be saying, Candy, you're a representative sitting on the board, why haven't you been updating us that some of this stuff might happen? Or why didn't you speak up with this shared revenue that telling us that maybe we should save some for the fire district? I'm just putting it out there for everybody to be thinking about, whether it goes through or not.
Yep, I hear you. I just also hear Chief saying that he's willing to deal with the station, and yet our fire district, we're talking about building a whole new something in Newville. And I don't understand why, other than the looks. And
Well, there is more to it than that. I mean, if you look at the growth in Fulton. The growth in Fulton, there's within the next less than 10 years, it's gonna be a necessity.
Okay.
So, and I'm not even talking about the new 5 that we transitioned with. Yes, that's gonna be a better place than Edgerton, sitting in downtown Edgerton, but also in Fulton with all the growth in Newville. It's, the need is there. The need is there for a rebuild of a station, and this station here is gonna be too small for the growth that's coming up in Newville. We can only go so much with this substation or existing station. We can't expand this way, we have to go this way. And if you go this way too much, you're looking at elevators, you're looking at all of that stuff that's very expensive. So now if we stayed as a small town and we didn't have the growth in Fulton, and we didn't have this, this station right down here would be absolutely fine. We'd have to probably upgrade the furnace and that kind of stuff, but there's just such a growth. And I don't know how old this building is, Chris, 30 years,
Yeah, about
This year.
40, whatever.
Early 90s.
It's,
93, February 20th, we moved in there.
it's getting old, and we're talking, and no disrespect, chief, because I agree with you. It'd be great to have a new station. But you look at those big, doors that need to open, you get these big massive fire trucks out, and you know, that kind of stuff, that's wear and tear, that's big construction, that's big everything. We're able to help fund the police station with new vehicles, what, every 4 years, or one every other year, we're trying to get that with. We haven't had to do that with the fire station, but there's a reason for that too, they're totally different, you know. Fire trucks are probably gonna last longer than what a station is, but, you know, or a squad car. There's a lot of differences, and I get the pain, But you know what, I with all due respect, I wanna bring it back to when City Hall was built. You knew there was a need, right? A lot of people said, I agree, I'm not saying this will or will not take, or maybe it will take, I don't know, I'm just saying. When you knew there was a need, and there were a lot of people that said, no. You guys have your office over there at whatever you call it, you know. But other people, no, they were right, there was a need to build this. But when you look at anytime you're gonna bite off a large expense because there's a growth, the same with the school. There was a great need for that, right? I don't have kids in school anymore, that was a big bite for me, but I knew that it was the right thing to do. All I'm saying is I think we're at one of those points, we're getting to one of those points that we might be feeling the pain for a new station. Because of the growth.
And the Edgerton residents will see the benefit of that station.
Oh, well, they're not gonna see a disadvantage, we're still gonna have this station here in town. They're not gonna see a disadvantage.
Other financially.
Financially, what would move if this all goes, what would move out of the new station? Headquarters. So the offices, the chief, and then there will be a staff, crew, and ambulance and fire truck. Still gonna have that here, the only thing you're not gonna have here are the headquarters, meaning the offices and that kind of stuff.
So, Edgerton, how much is our portion of the fire district, how much do we pay? 30%. So we're gonna pay 30% of a new building out there and won't get much
No.
benefit of that.
No,
No, okay.
no, I wouldn't say it's gonna be
I
30%.
think 50%, so you need to exist.
Oh, he's saying 30%
I
of
was
the
talking about
50%,
here.
Yeah, they're the station.
30% of the 50%.
Yeah,
Oh.
because the other,
The other
Yeah,
part,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
10 municipalities.
I'm struggling with
Yeah,
what
I get it.
our citizens are going to gain out of a new building.
So,
Can I just ask a question? This is going down a little bit around.
just a second, Paul, real quick, I'm sorry, because I'm gonna forget, based on that. You might say, Fulton might say, I'm paying, I forget what their percentage, not too much lower than ours.
Their percent of the
Yes,
five, well, theirs is higher than ours.
34%.
Of what they're paying.
Yeah, it pays a greater share than the city.
Okay, Fulton's paying that, and guess what?
And it's.
Takes us longer to get out there, and they're paying 34%. So, you know, you could look at it that way too.
That's a fair enough.
Sorry, Paul. So,
This has been bugging me since I heard about it. And it is a little bit down the rabbit hole, sorry. It's not really, it doesn't have anything to do with dollars, but. Bring it up. Anyway,
sure you
why
should.
Newville?
This is probably not germane to our budget.
Okay.
It isn't,
Yeah.
never mind.
But,
So then I'll ask that question.
continue to have a discussion about
It's
this,
just,
yeah.
it keeps coming into my mind and now we're talking about even the need for it at all, but now let's, yeah, you're right, let's back off that.
Absolutely.
But no, I'm not opposed to, I know it's coming, you can see it a mile away. Just because the fire district is so much in flux that it is bound to cost more than we think, we just basically blew it up for lack of a better term, and we're waiting for it to settle back down, but that's always gonna cost more than communicating it, so I'm not opposed to what you're proposing at all.
I want to say one thing that bases off of what you said, Tim. I think the average citizen in Edgerton is always gonna have a rub with what's going on with the growth. Because they view fire as the city.
That's
They live
correct.
in a county and a technical school district in a city, but when it comes to that fire department, they see it as local.
Yeah, and
They
it's
don't
not,
see themselves as part of a fire district. And it's true, the growth out there is, and what they'll be mad about is they feel like they're paying for Fulton's runaway growth.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And right or wrong, that's always gonna be a local citizen's wrong. They don't see themselves as in this district, they see it as a city thing.
Alright, so we're taking us all the way down the rabbit hole. I'll try to pull this back out.
Joe, good question.
We have $20,000 in contingency. If we put another 15 into it,
Not much for anything, just in contingency.
I'm not supportive of it.
That's
At
good.
this point, it's just shifting money around. We haven't used contingency. I think we're,
It's a good point, Chris, because if something does come up, then we would have to discuss whether that could go.
Sorry to interrupt.
no, you're fine. You're fine. I don't know where I was going with that. I wanted to get our budget so that we're $7,000. We take out that $7,000 and we call it a night.
The developer fees are basically contingency fees for parks.
Yeah.
And we have triple. on that. We keep 60-some thousand, it was more
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. For a rainy day for parks, and we have 20
For the city.
for everything in the city, so I'm back to spend some of these developer fees on parks items, and let's check these things off and move on, and maybe we spend enough of it, maybe you have a tax decrease at the end of the day, more in contingency for this cost coming, I don't get
And
why we don't spend
yeah, I
that
mean,
now.
this guy is, he's offered you money 3 times. You keep finding ways to say no. I mean, he's begging you to take his money.
So I'm gonna make a motion when we get. But I don't wanna do it, I mean, close, but I don't wanna quickly, go ahead, okay.
Go ahead.
You do it. I dare you.
We're there.
All right,
We're there.
and I could do it piece by piece, but I'm gonna try one big one, and if that fails, then I'll go item by item, okay? So, I'm gonna make a motion that we spend out of the developer fees for parks, $5,000 for a fundraiser. $8,000 towards the skate park,
How much, I'm sorry, 8,000?
8,000.
Got it.
And 33,000 towards racetrack park playground equipment. That's the motion.
That's 1 2/3 plate.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a second?
Well, I'll second.
And the buying the time on the racetrack park playground equipment gives us the time to potentially go out and look for outside funding. That's from organizations. I mean, that was another discussion we had at parks, that if we had a list of things that are in the works, and give a little bit of lead time as to what we're interested in contributing to, like what we did here with toilets with tobacco days. Our town just bought $1 million artificial turf. Look
By
at-
donations.
My donation, look what they did there. We sell ourselves short sometimes on these things, so that gives us a marker at about halfway on that playground equipment. A year from now, we either come up with the other half or more, or by then, we've raised it.
Playground equipment should be,
It seems, I mean,
start out with for the kids.
right.
I have a clarification question on some seconds.
I see.
Is that already, okay, so so right now you're saying we're $33,000 for the play equipment is coming out of developer fees and we're budgeting for the rest of it, but you're still saying it's a 2025 project, is that what you're saying?
No, that's a good clarification. It is we're just setting aside the 33,000 in this budget. We're not picking up the other half. The other half would have to be funded next year. It's not.
So you're removing
2024.
$65,000 from the budget is what you're saying? And an additional year, you're
Yeah.
taking $13,000 out of the budget.
This budget, yeah.
Well, not if it's,
No,
65 plus the 36.
You're right, because the way that's worded, we would be buying the equipment at the end of the year. Half with, the way the motion reads, it's half of it, developer fees, and half still
Levy,
levy.
that's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yes, so,
Well, we were gonna spend
and,
any of it
and,
in 24.
yeah, and that's what it is, and we can build that back, and I realize we just brought ourselves way under the number. That's okay for piece of, equipment. So, yeah, I'm removing the 65 there. And just saying 33.
Set aside out of development.
Set aside out of the developer fees to go towards that racetrack equipment.
In 2025.
And in 2024.
No, because we can't purchase it in
So we're not
24.
really taking 65 out then.
You're applying it, we won't be purchasing it until 2025.
If it lasts through if we have 2 more years use,
Correct.
means it can last 2024 and 2025.
Then they say the end of 2025, how are you?
So
Yeah.
in the fall of 2025, it's getting cold, there's a new budget, we buy it that winter. Playing on it,
Yeah.
it's bought at the end of 2025, but installed in 2026.
So then you're taking 65,000
Mhm.
plus the 8 plus 5 out of the budget, is that what your intention is?
Yes.
Okay, and it's a 2025 project, the playground structure, because you're gonna budget for the other half next year.
Let me double check. The
So I have a
notes,
question, why would we use the developer fees this year? In 2020,
As a marker.
it's just earmark, it's because it's gonna sit there, you're not gonna use it
Right.
until.
Well, so you're saying, if we take the 65 out, we don't need your 5 from umbrella and your 8 for the skid park. But you're gonna give that anyway.
Then our road's gonna go up.
staying on the playground equipment, the notes from our parks meeting said the representatives' opinions were that the play structure should be replaced no later than the end of 2025. Having said that, nobody's playing on it in the winter, but, before spring of 2026 would have to be installed,
And that becomes the 2026 budget.
25. No,
If it happens at the end of 25.
Does roads go up, that would be positive.
Let's see.
Spend more on roads just for delaying one piece of equipment. Tell me if I'm wrong.
what are you saying?
But
What are you saying? Well, yeah, we have a surplus and we could apply it toward the roads.
okay, so
So in
now
effect, you're removing the budget from the budget, removing the play structure,
Mhm.
and the 5,000 and 8,000. That's what in effect you are doing. I understand your sentiment to say, when we do the structure, we're gonna use 33,000, but that is in this year's budget, not relevant. Unless we're making some kind of public statement about earmarking that money, but it's already earmarked for you to decide what to do with it.
So a little quick,
It's not gonna go
a
away.
little quick math here, basically what you're saying, if all that happens, we take care of our shortfall, we put 15,000 towards fire department, and we still pick up 37,000.
Thanks for that.
Well, just saying, okay, we get 65. That means now let's turn that into 41. Because of a $21,000 hole, turn it into 41, add 13. Yeah, you're right, there's a lot more, man. Add 13 to it, so it's 54,000.
But how much did you say? I had 43, is that what you came up with too?
No,
43 grand.
add plus 65, take away 21, the 44.
65 is in the 21.
Yeah.
The 65 is part of the 21. So you're taking out 58,000 and you're putting 21 in.
Right,
Shoot, I put 35.
so you're right, but that gains us $41,000 and then add 13 more to that. So basically, we're picking up 54,000.
Where are we adding 13 more?
The five, the fund umbrella.
That's already in there.
Huh?
It's already in there.
Oh, that's right, okay. So then 40.
For the sake.
No, it's not, because he's giving, we're taking it out of
Can I
there.
withdraw that motion?
By the way, it isn't gonna be already in there, this is out and paid for it, so we're taking it out of the budget.
You're just taking the 65,000 out is what in effect what Casey's correct was, plus the 13.
Plus the 13.
Revenue from the.
What I'm saying is that it was already taken out, you were trying to put it back in, and we're saying no. I'm
No, I
saying,
was taking it out and making, and adding it to our plus side, so that's doing.
Ann says, I'll sit here all night and listen to this as long as I get my umbrella, right?
Well, you withdrawing your motion?
Is second.
Oh, yes, because I didn't want to take the 65 out, so yes, I'm looking forward to the next iteration.
Motion?
Okay, the first one is next one. I'm gonna move that we put 5,000 off the levy for the fund umbrella and pay for that with developer fees.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second to, use 5,000 to pay for the umbrella.
Yeah.
Any discussion on that?
All right, wait, so Lane, I'm lost. We're gonna use $5,000 of developer fees for a umbrella, okay?
It comes out of the budget.
So we're removing $5,000 from the budget.
Well, that's not technically what we're
Right.
doing. So
Okay.
we're-
Funding it different.
It's- So the levy request is being reduced by 5,000 because there's another
Yes.
source, so. we're
Okay.
Technically using developer fees to pay for the umbrella.
Got it.
So if we did that, that means we only have to come up with 1529.
Okay, so Lang and Shaw, we're gonna use $5,000 of developer fees for the umbrella. Got it.
That's it.
Any more discussion on that? Roll call.
Shaw,
Yes.
Langen,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Preble,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes,
Okay.
but did Shaw make that motion or did
No,
Casey?
Casey did,
Casey
he's starting over.
I get it, but I think I heard you say call Shaw first,
He did.
right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Let's start over. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was just, no, we voted, we got the votes, we all voted yes.
Okay, I just don't want to order.
We're good.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Continue.
So we're still trying to find 15 more to put in contingency, just to have it there.
Yes.
So we're now short, what, 16, 5 something?
1529 plus we're fire.
Plus what?
Whatever happens with fire, they have an emotion of fire.
Right.
Right now, we're 1529, $1,529 short.
Very nice.
Does fully funding the racetrack park equipment at 65,000 this year? Do we still have the time to potentially fundraise on that if a group wanted to?
Yeah, we'll
What's
have,
the timing on that?
yeah, yes, we will have time, we'll have, I assume the prices will be probably pretty consistent next year, so, and the 65 is short, as to do a decent structure.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you would have time and you would need to.
And is the same true for pool playground equipment? If we took 10, started with 10 out of developer fees, I know we're not, set this aside and we're not, adding it to the 1,500, whatever, but same timetable, if we said 10's coming out of developer fees for the playground equipment at the pool, that would also give us time to fundraise if someone wanted to contribute and make that nicer.
And I think 10 was, and you had no clue.
It was.
You just threw a number out there because you didn't have time to,
It was just because of the discussion of the
Right.
tour of the parks that
right,
I said we should probably look at it. I did not even put a
Right.
number to it.
right. I just wanted to be clear on that. That's not a actual number that we, it could be 20.
Oh,
It
yeah,
could
we
be
knew it was low,
12.
we knew 10 was low.
Yeah.
Then I'd like to make a motion to take 10,000 out of developer fees for playground equipment at the pool.
$10,000 already taken out of that budget line.
So it doesn't change the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's just adding it back in the budget and finding another source of revenue for it. Doesn't change.
You're marking 10,000 of the parks, developers fees for.
And it'll be in the budget then. The budget will increase by 10,000, but you have an offsetting revenue, so it'll show up in your budget. If this money passes.
For a second. I'll second. Was a motion, wasn't it? Motion to second to fund $10,000 of playground equipment at the pool. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, did you just say that that wasn't gonna be enough?
Yeah, it's low, it's not, yeah.
We don't have anything right now for pool equipment. Like pool equipment at the pool. And so now you're adding something into it, not enough to actually cover it. So we're gonna have to find the extra someplace else to actually execute this.
Yeah, potentially, but 10's the number we were given.
just out of the blue. And then at parks, remember, we decided, no, we weren't gonna look at that this year.
So Parks decided not to look at it, where are you trying to put that?
Because I think the need is still there. And right now, we've only taken 5,000 out of developer fees.
Yeah, but you have a couple more coming up. I'd rather we look at the ones that we've talked about and then see, maybe, instead of putting something back in the budget that never, or putting something in the budget that wasn't there to begin with.
That fire fees.
Good for you.
Well,
See what happens on the vote.
yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy about the skate park line item. but it's worked through the plan. Here it is, we're doing it. I say that, and the only person that voted in 2020 to keep the skate park equipment. The Parks Committee voted to sell it. But we didn't, so it's not that I'm against the skate park, but I mean, for what we're for, you know, I might vote against it if someone wants to pull 24,000 from it there, I'd probably vote for that.
If somebody wants to pull what, 24,000 what?
The skate park. like-
Oh, pull it out of the budget? Oh,
What's the motion that's on the floor here?
The motion is to use $10,000 of developer fees for pool playground equipment.
And that gives us, just like a racetrack, yes, 10's not gonna be enough. 65 isn't enough at a racetrack, but we can go fundraise for it from the community.
It was still done it for 15 years. Oh, we will.
That's the budget, I know, so maybe we will, it doesn't know.
well, I seconded it.
Yes,
I got
and
it.
one's, yes.
Absolutely no.
Roll call. Roll call.
Langen,
Yes,
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Shaw,
No.
Andy Davis,
No,
Kribel,
No.
Motion fails, 2-3. And Jim isn't here. Okay, what's next?
I'll, make a motion, following on with Casey, you ready to do, continue with any of your motions? I would make a motion to. But, and again, the wording may not be right, it's not gonna change the budget, it's just the distribution. The skate park, $8,000 to come out of developers fees.
That reduces this year.
That will, okay. But still, if the 24,000, it'll reduce the levy, it won't reduce the
Right.
budget.
That's what you're trying to do right now.
That's what,
It
yes,
increases your revenue.
yes, to apply $8,000 of the $24,000, 8,000 should come out of developer fees.
That was a motion now. Is
That's my motion.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to take $8,000 out of the developer's fees for the skate park. Any discussion?
yeah, I'm gonna vote for it because it's using developer fees for that, it's not a question of whether it's in there or not, it's how we funding it. That might as well use the developer fees.
Personally. Yeah, the amount that we think we can through the developer's fees, yes.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Andy Davis,
Yes.
Kribel,
Yes.
Langen,
Yes,
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now we're in the black.
We are $6,400,
Well,
except for. If we want to earmark.
yeah, so before we continue, let me do that and we'll see where it goes. I'd like to make a motion to apply $15,000 to contingency.
so you want increase the contingency by
Correct.
15,000?
Correct, thank you, that's, yeah.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Probably have to cut something. Or find another developer fee project.
And we can find more developer fee, I just wanted to know where we stood then on the line item. once we did this.
Right, any other discussion on that? Roll call.
Candy Davis,
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Preble,
Yes.
Shaw,
No.
Langen,
No.
Motion passes 3-2.
So where are we at now?
Minus 8,000 something.
8529.
Sorry, I'm gonna all of a sudden use my calculator. My hand doesn't work right.
I'm sorry, how much did we say?
$8,529.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready to make my next motion. Um. Um. I would say. I'm sorry, 20,000. Applied 20,000 of developer fees towards. Take that back. Developer fees for the playground equipment, and, 20,000, yes.
you levy the rest or?
Mhm. The third,
Well, it's already levied 60.
it's levied,
Oh, yeah, okay.
oh, it's, well, yeah, you know what? I take that back. I don't want to do that. I'd like us to continue to fund, look for 32, keep 32.5 in the budget for the playground equipment, but have that amount of money come from the developer's fees. I don't know
So
how.
there's still 65,000 in the budget, equal the number we're working with.
So we can leave the 65 in there, but use some of it out of
So
developer.
you're gonna
fees.
levy 32.5 and you're gonna developer fee 32.5 in the year 2024.
Yes.
So
32.
you wanna use 32.5 for developer fees for the
Yeah.
playground structure?
So.
Yes, yes.
This is the levy by 32.5.
The only difference is you push yours into 25, this does it all in 24.
Correct.
It's the only difference between yours.
Okay. It's not gonna work. Yeah.
We need a second for that motion, just so you know.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? Nice for that second. That puts us way in the black again. So what are we looking for? 8,100?
8529.
We're not looking for anything, we're already in the, I'm sorry, you're right, my fault, yes. We're in the negative.
We're in the red.
On the bad side, $8,500.
Why would we want them?
Doesn't say amount. Just take the money we're short on of developers fee and apply it towards the playground equipment, we'll be done.
What's the difference with that?
We tried to do that just now.
I know.
No, you took
no,
32,000. You didn't
Oh,
take, you didn't take the residual out to get zero.
Take the little number that we're looking at, the 8,000.
Oh,
8529 out of developer fee toward the play structure gets you right at the levy.
And then that's my motion. That's what we're.
then it's the balance.
I will second that.
Yeah, so we're not, basically the same idea, Amy had us with 30.
Yeah, well, we would have had more money to put toward World's Highway, but I'm just gonna recognize that.
Okay.
What,
Or to give it to cheap.
what was that number, Mona?
8529.
Motion second to balance the budget by using developers fees to cover the playground.
Playground equipment.
Any discussion?
But the playground equipment still stays in the budget though. by
Correct,
then.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you take that, but then we gotta spend 65,000 somewhere else.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cody,
We should stay here to keep us up.
roll call.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Langen,
Yes.
Preble,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yay.
That's not
Oh, hold on a second, so. Did we did not agree, oh no, it did pass for the 15,000 contingency, I'm sorry. I got it, okay, oh, thanks.
Oh, no, you mean, John.
I know. Okay, got it. I couldn't remember it so long ago.
See on the budget.
I can do legal notice now, I mean, you can keep making motions to do it, but at this
There's nothing
point,
that needs to be done with it.
where you met your right.
And that, my folks, is balanced budget.
Mayor, all the personal staff reports. Send our sympathies to the Palucci family, and we already got one message tonight about possibly doing some type of memorial, the city doing some type of memorial. I think that's. Just came through a little bit ago, here we're talking budget. And we won't meet before Halloween, so. Figure out what the hours actually are.
4 to 8,
48, that's what I
did
thought.
they say, we
No.
decided
changed it to 5 to 8.
5
Used to be
days.
4 to 7, now it's on Halloween from 5 to 8 every year, so you don't have to go.
Until we change it again.
Until you change it again.
Or as long as the lights are on, bang on the doors.
Two things. Tomorrow, if you're interested, I'm giving a presentation on scams against the elderly at the library between 1 and 2. And with everything that happened, Ron and Julie Hageman were running a fundraiser on Friday from 6 to 10 for purchasing AEDs for the squad car at 1848. So we're not quite sure about that yet, but that was tentative. We've got several other donations that came in, so this'll get 4 of them for us. So just FYI.
So I'm not sure if it's on or not, you're saying,
I believe it is. I
Okay.
haven't heard that it wasn't.
okay.
But with everything that happened,
Mhm.
watch Facebook.
And on that scamming thing, when you answer them and you know it's them, and they ask how you are. Mine would cut down a whole lot, I go, I'm not doing worth a shit today, I'll go. And they don't call back, and if they do, it's the same voices, you know, and I go, all right, I just get that. Sometimes you use other words, but.
So, and if you can't make it tomorrow, there's an encore performance on November 8th at 6 o'clock at the library. So I'll be doing it twice. So
Thank you.
if you can't make it.
Alright. Anybody else have anything? Oh, the homecoming parade went off, little delayed, thanks chief. Would not have happened without the permission and the assistance of the police department, so.
They were great.
Kids were really happy about it, so.
I have to say, Savior Towing has really come through to help us out quite a bit for a lot of the parades. Unselfish individuals that own that business. I have to do a shout out to those folks. They do a great job. They come, they block the streets for us with their big toes. And they do a really good job. All just because they want to help the community. So.
Okay, anybody wanna do number 10 here?
I'll move we go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1985 1E, deliberating and negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing in public funds, conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session. Discussing, consider.
Second,
Motion and second, go in closed session, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Langen,
Yes.
Candy Davis,
yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Paul Davis,
Yes.
Yes. Closed session.